This is Barry Zalma speaking for Claim School Incorporated's newsletter, Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter for February 15, 2025. This, the 29th year and the 4th issue of Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter. Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter, or ZIFL, continues its 29th year of publication dedicated to those involved in reducing the effect of insurance fraud. ZIFL is published 24 times a year by Claim School and is written by me. It is provided free to anyone who visits the site at zalma.com/Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter. The link provided in the blog. You can read the full issue of the February 15, 2025 issue at the link provided. This issue contains the following articles about insurance fraud. First, an article entitled From Insurance Fraud to Human Trafficking, where an insurance fraud perpetrator led on to better and more lucrative crimes, including violent crimes, because criminal conduct by a person involved in insurance fraud never gets better. In a case entitled The People versus Dennis Lee Givens, the California Court of Appeal on February 3, 2025, dealt with Givens' appeal to reverse his conviction for human trafficking and his seeking for an order for a new trial. You can read the full article in the full 18-page issue of ZIFL at the link provided. Next is a press release on February 6, 2025, from California Insurance Commissioner, who urges insurance companies to provide full contents coverage without detailed inventory requirements for wildfire survivors. Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara issued a notice to all residential property insurance companies in California calling for swift action to aid wildfire survivors impacted by recent fires. His request, although probably makes some sense, avoids allowing the insurer to apply the conditions of its policy, but yet insurers have already spent, with the fires still smoldering, over $6 billion in advance payments. You can read the full article and the full press release at the link provided. Next is an article about McClenney, Moseley and Associates and their continuing issues with the state of Louisiana. This is ZIFL's 42nd installment of the saga of McClenney, Moseley and Associates and its problems with the federal courts of the state of Louisiana and what appears to be an effort to profit from what some magistrate and district judges indicate may be criminal conduct, to profit from insurance claims relating to hurricane damage to the public of the state of Louisiana. For example, on January 28, 2025, MMA sued the law firm of Barcus Arenas for its earned, allegedly, contingency fees. There are other articles about MMA, and you can read the full article in the full 18 pages of ZIFL at the link provided. Next, there's an article entitled Insurance Fraudsters Are Annoying, where a parole violator puts a convicted insurance fraudster back in jail. And Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus Kalani Watts a January 27, 2025 article and decision from the Superior Court of Pennsylvania Appellate Division, Watts entered a negotiated guilty plea to 1 count each of obtaining possession of controlled substance by misrepresentation, fraud, forgery, or subterfuge, and insurance fraud. On July 21, 2014, in accordance with the plea agreement, the trial court imposed an aggregate sentence of 6 to 12 years in prison, only to have him violate parole and go back to prison. You can read the full article and the full 18 pages of ZIFL at the link provided. Next is the article about health insurance fraud convictions, where the states and federal governments have been convicting multiple healthcare providers against laws regarding insurance fraud and other health insurance crimes. For example, the Alabama Attorney General announced the conviction of a former Birmingham nurse for theft of opioid tablets, where Dozier Micah Blanks, 39, of Montgomery, Alabama, pled guilty to the theft of opioid tablets from the nursing home where he was employed. Blanks worked as a Birmingham area nursing home attendant, where he was responsible for distributing medication to residents of the facility. Next was about a Greensboro laboratory and owner who agreed to pay $850,000 to the government to resolve allegations of false claims for urine drug testing. Substance abuse treatment labs located in Greensboro, North Carolina, and its owner, Paul Freibush, agreed to pay $850,000 to resolve civil allegations that it violated the False Claim Act by billing North Carolina Medicaid for medically unnecessary drug screening. You can read the full 18-page ZIFL and the full article, including dozens of convictions, at the link provided. Next is a trial court article about the trial court that incorrectly refused an insurer's demand for an examination under oath, where the Court of Appeal ruled that the statutory obligation to fight fraud includes the right to examine people claiming no-fault injuries and examine them under oath. An apparently staged auto accident requires an EUO to investigate potential fraud as required by statutes in almost every state. Next is an article about convictions from other than health insurance fraud, beginning with an article about a Philadelphia man who pleaded guilty to stealing dead people's IDs and insurance fraud. Anthony Purcell pleaded guilty in Philadelphia County Court to insurance fraud, theft by deception, identity theft, and forgery. Purcell pleaded guilty to felony charges for stealing a deceased classmate's identity and fraudulently using it to obtain a driver's license, vehicle registration, and insurance, and to apply for a concealed carry firearm permit, thereby getting more payments to the dead from the government. You can read about that full article at the blog and in the links provided. Finally, there's an article about ethical behavior, because insurers and insurance claims professionals must act ethically in contact with those who are insured, even if investigating a potential fraud. The article explains that the concept of ethical behavior refers to well-founded standards of right and wrong that prescribe what humans ought to do, usually in terms of rights, obligations, benefits to society, fairness, or specific virtues, all of which are essential to the lawyer and to the claims professional. Ethics refers to those standards that impose the reasonable obligations to refrain from murder, rape, theft, assault, slander, and fraud. Ethical standards also include those that imply virtues of honesty, compassion, and loyalty. You can read the full issue of ZIFL and the full ethics article at the link provided. This video was adapted from my blog and my newsletter, Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter, which is available free to anyone who clicks on the URL zalma.com/blog and who clicks on the link to Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter. The videos are available free, as is the fraud newsletter, and please tell your friends and colleagues about the newsletter and the blog so that they too can subscribe. If you're interested in further information about insurance, insurance claims, insurance law, and insurance fraud, please consider subscribing to my Substack publication. Thank you for your attention.